Well, this is the
Okay, you're
February
adjourned.
1st. Yeah. This is the
You're
February
adjourned.
1st, 2021 meeting. And
Hang on a second, Pete.
I think we'll wait a bit for public participation. Everyone, I believe, got a copy of one billing issue that we had. You know, they apparently had some high usage,
Yeah,
and they don't have high use now. And there's no evidence of any problem or correction that was done.
say it
And I
again.
don't know, did the commissioners have any opinion on that, or anything you'd like to ask about that?
I mean, is there any reason why that went up that much? Does anybody know anything, or?
You know, all we know is that the water went through there. There was no, there's no discussion of any leaks or breaks or anything like that.
Mhm. But nobody found anything like a faucet outdoors on or nothing?
Now, actually, they did not call us to have a technician investigate.
Okay.
So all we know is basically what was in the memo that Mr. Regan provided.
What house was that, Steve? I don't have a copy of that.
Oh, Mrs. Mender, do you have a copy of that handy? The billing question? All right, we'll get that here.
'59 Leonard Street.
If I can find it.
Got you at time?
Yeah, 59 Leonard, yeah. Yeah, we got the call on that, and I sent Mike Lee over
Oh, you did.
to
Oh,
investigate.
okay.
He didn't, by the time we got there, if there was a, which we expect, if there was a leaky bathtub, faucet, whatever, it was fixed because there was no evidence of anything running after when we got there.
Would a leaky faucet make the bill go up that much?
Yeah, good.
Good, really?
What was the price? Again, I don't have any of that in front of me, so I know about the call, but I don't know what they're asking for.
Well, the bill went from about 102 to 786.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I've seen worse than that, Ronnie.
Really?
It really doesn't take much of a leak over the course of weeks or months to really
Yeah,
turn up.
She says
So,
you got a
No, I know him coming.
inspection or asked for one, but we couldn't go in because of
No.
COVID. But you did go in?
We did go in. I did send Mike Lee in. If we have emergencies, we do go in masked up, and we have the homeowner stay aside. And all he does is go down and check the meter. If the little red spinning, that means there's something on. When he went in there, the meter was not spinning, meaning there was no water being sent out from the meter. So, again, we get these things periodically, and it's usually, maybe there was a faucet outside that had frozen leaked, and usually the homeowner fixes the problem by the time we get there.
Right.
Just out of curiosity's sake, were there any, is this a house with kids? And were there any, like, I don't know, castles or slides or anything in the backyard that were iced down nicely or warmed up? Any of that kind of stuff? Was that noticed?
Yeah, I just didn't notice. It's the last house on Leonard before the Avivia Whiteman Chevrolet parking lot. Just a normal residential house, I don't even think it's a two-family. I think it's just a regular.
So. Any other questions or concerns? Yeah. Yeah. I know that I had a copy, but I think it's working in a couple of different places. It might be in the wrong file. Okay. So, Mr. Gerard, you don't see anything in particular about that one, right?
No,
Any comments? Is there any desire to grant relief on this one?
Spotty was listed. Yeah, go through and nothing. I don't know. It seems awfully lacking in supporting facts and information. Just a shoulder shrug and gee, I don't know, just lots of gallons into the ether. That doesn't seem to jive. I'd like to, if they want to bring in more proof and talk more about how that's definitely not the case. I don't think you can bring it. I mean, these meters fail in the off position, right, where they stop counting. They don't fail in the go too much direction, right?
No, well, I've only been in the business a little over 40 years. I haven't seen it yet. So, should I perhaps send a letter out that says that based on the information provided, we find no basis for granting relief?
It sounds, yeah, that sounds kind of what I'm thinking at the moment.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's see, go vote. Okay. Whichever number vote through, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get that done. And that was the only billing issue we had this month. All right, so we have some resolutions. Approval of the minutes of the 12/7/2020 meeting.
So moved.
A motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Accepts the meeting minutes. Now we have the warrant. Oh, are there any questions on the warrant?
I don't on the expenses, but I did see a diner thing and I felt bad and was curious about the blowout. What was that like?
Was it a bill at a diner?
Yeah, there must have been an overnight or some real big main break in December, January. I forget which one it's in, but where did that break happen? What?
Yeah, Tom?
yeah, that was a water break. The guys came in all night. I'm trying to think which.
I think that was like Christmas Eve, wasn't it?
I'm thinking it was not Christmas Eve, but it was the 23rd, I believe. And I'm drawing a blank on the street, but yes, Chris, it was a water break. And through the contract, when they come in, they're entitled to a lunch or breakfast. And we go to Sam's Diner. We try to keep it local. You'll see a lot of the DPW trucks there day after a snowstorm because they're entitled also when they get called in.
Yeah. I just every time I see that, I know that something went down, and
Yeah.
I'm curious where and feel bad. But thanks everybody for doing that stuff in the hours.
Yeah, I'll find out where that was. I'm drawing a blank. I can see myself going out to it, and the good thing is I got a lot of good young guys that like the overtime and the nice cold weather, so I went home and let them stay out all night.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'll find out in a minute, and I'll just blurt it in there in a minute.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns about the warrant?
I have one, Steve, on page 5, January. It was
Okay.
Thai Sales Incorporated for $39,910 for a Neptune transmission or
Transmitters.
On page 5.
I believe
Yep.
that's the transmitters we buy, that we're
Yeah.
replacing every one in every house. That's where we get them from, Thai Sales transmitters.
But no, they're the transmitters. Okay.
Yeah, they're the meter transmitters.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, we have a budget line item for that, and I think we've got about another 2 years, maybe a little bit longer now, because the pandemic has slowed our access to the various houses.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions?
No questions.
All right. Well, in that case, do we have a motion to approve the warrant? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
Approves the warrant.
yes,
Okay, guys, we've had 2 water main breaks. The one that we had the breakfast after was the one on State Street. We've had a couple up by Bush and State. And then we also had one more recent, 2021, on Sanford, right across from Windy Hill. But they didn't stay long enough to get free food for that one.
I'm letting that T right there, Uncas, or
What's that?
on that T where Wendy comes into Sanford.
It was actually on Sanford, almost directly across where Windy Hill comes across on the Sanford, where the new houses are, the 2 new houses on the corner of Sanford and Uncas. It was right there by the one of the new houses.
All right. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to increase the downtown green infrastructure Elm Street parking lot project fund to account for final project cost. If you will recall, we had a budget for this project of $225,000. When we bid it, the lowest bidder came in at $268,500, and we awarded that project. But we had some extra work. We found some sinkholes, and we took an opportunity to connect some additional roof leaders, which added to the cost of the project. And the final cost for construction is going to be $350,000. We anticipate some small extras from engineering because of the duration of the project, and some additional work that we added to correct some sinkholes. And we expect that the final project total will be $394,000. And we're looking at an increase of $169,000, which should be eventually offset by the grant, a reimbursement of $168,750. So this resolution would increase the project cost, the final project cost, to $394,000. Questions? Concerns?
no. No. Yes. Okay. That's all right.
Nothing?
Nope.
So do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Second. All in favor, yes.
Okay. I'll take it that that motion is approved. Resolution is approved. Now we have a timber sale number 75A, which is basically on the backside of the Keenan storage reservoir. And this is the one where we had to negotiate an access agreement with Lime Timber across their land. And with the pandemic, the logger is having a little bit of trouble with trucking and moving the timber that he's harvesting. And he would like a time extension. And whereas he's going to cover our projected additional costs and pay a fee of $1,000. And Lime Timber is agreeable with also extending their crossing agreement. And I would recommend that we approve this extension so that the logger can finish this timber harvest.
Make that motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Cardy?
Peter said yes.
Oh, he did? Okay. I'm having a little trouble hearing him. All right. So one of the things that I'm moving on to discussion now. One of the things we have to do every year is update our emergency action plans for our dams. And we had been using the original designer, Clough Harbor and Associates, as our engineer to go to in the event we needed some engineering assistance with a problem at the dams. Clough Harbor is no longer going to be in the dam construction and maintenance end of the geotechnical business, so we need to select another engineering firm. This would be somebody that we would call upon at need. And you know, there's no actual contractual agreement at this time. It'd be just an agreement that, you know, there's somebody we can call on and they will at that time bill us for any services we incur. So there's a couple of engineering firms and that have that ability, like Tectonic Engineering and CT Mail. And what I'd like to do is list a couple of firms on there, and you know, we'll kind of call whoever we can get, if that's acceptable to the commission.
It's okay by me.
All right. So we'll just update the emergency action plans to that effect. What we're doing right now with projects is we are finalizing the Henry Street project design. And a couple of questions. I think the only thing that we have to really wrap up on that is the best approach to installing the new force main for Finch paper along Oakland Avenue. Problem is that's a pretty busy road with a lot of traffic on it. And if we do daytime work in that area, or even nighttime work, there's a potential for a lot of traffic delays being caused. Every time we work in that intersection down there of Glen, Oakland, and Mohican, you know how it gets. So we're trying to work out the best way to do that, whether we do it by pipe bursting, where we pull a hydraulic mandrel into the pipe that breaks the existing force main and that's leaky and pulls in a new pipe behind it. Or whether we go with an in-situ lining, where we do a cured in place lining inside of the pipeline, or whether we just kind of bite the bullet, maybe go with night work to construct the portion that's within that right of way. So that's the only thing we have to resolve, and we're working on that right now. And we hope to have a final cost estimate soon on that project and have that ready to go out to bid. And that project's going to be financed with EFC. And I discussed it with the mayor, and he would like, if possible, to put that out to bid this spring. So we'll see where that stands. Probably in time for the March meeting, and we're looking to have it bid somewhere around then. The Maple and Walnut Street sanitary and storm sewer improvements project. Design is at 100%, and it's in for regulatory approval. And on that project, we have grant funding plus a city share. And we're hopeful also to get that out to bid in early spring this year. The other project we have is the Elm Street sewer separation and green infrastructure project. Elm Street is part of the downtown revitalization work, and we found during the gravity sewer I&I study that there's a number of storm and sanitary sewer cross connections in that area where we get a lot of stormwater in, and we're looking at separating that. Arcadis is doing a preliminary design to address the stormwater issues using green infrastructure. It's a combination of infiltration chambers, dry wells, tree pits, some porous sidewalk maintenance strips and things like that. Basically, we're going to try and minimize the amount of stormwater that gets into the stormwater system and discharged to the river. And we're going to try and provide some kind of treatment to that stormwater to minimize the amount of pollutants that are carried along. And that's what the tree pits and things like that do. So they're going to do a preliminary design. That's where we're trying to work right now. And then the streetscaping work in that area as part of the downtown revitalization is a contract that Creighton Manning has. So I've been working with the consultants from both firms, and we're trying to do like I said, a preliminary design of the stormwater, which would then get passed along to Creighton Manning to be integrated into the downtown revitalization work. If we employ green stormwater infrastructure for this, there's a Green Innovation Grant Program, which will cover up to 90% of the cost of the stormwater work. And I've been working with the mayor's concurrence with Chazen, with Mr. Bob Murray, as a grant assistant to help us to work with EFC. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop a program that hits the buttons we need to push in order to get it funded under the Green Infrastructure Grant Program. This lets us address the stormwater issues at a pretty low cost, and it has the potential to take some of the costs out of the downtown revitalization project and shift them over into that grant. Now, they're hopeful to get that that work bid this spring. Creighton Manning is working on design right now, and I have another virtual meeting tomorrow with Creighton Manning and with Arcadis to work on integrating this work. According to EFC, we can bid the project before the grant awards are made and still be eligible for the grant with this particular program. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work that out so that we have a really good shot at it. And EFC would really like to have some green infrastructure projects go out in the North Country. So they're quite supportive, and we had a conference call with them to find out the best approach to take to maximize our chance to correct the issues we have and have a good chance at getting it funded through that program. And we'll know more about that in the next couple of days, how that's working out. And then we're going to have another conference with EFC. Any questions about any of this stuff here?
That green stuff sounds good. I was not to backtrack, but that Oakland thing, I don't want to be too ignorant about expense. It's important, but is not digging down there the 100-year solution, or would that really get us a long-term quality installation, repair, or whatever to bite that bullet, or would it kind of be a wash?
I think all of the techniques that we're looking at have the potential to give us a good long-term solution. If we do the pipe bursting or the direct excavation, in both cases, the end product would be a high-density polyethylene force main. We considered drilling in the area, but we're concerned because there are so many different pieces of infrastructure on that street that we're not very comfortable with proximity of them with directional drilling. That's where we're at, and all of the stuff we're looking at would give us a good solution. Any of them would be at least a 50-year solution, and that's probably what the city needs, because we don't know what the future is for the person who's being served by this force main, which is Finch Paper. 50 years from now, we don't know what the paper business will be like at all, or where they'll be. So I think that I don't think we have to shoot for a 100-year solution.
I was curious too, Fredella, or like that driveway access down the left side of the Hyde property, or the road on the other side of that wall of the Hyde, any of that kind of stuff, or even the fact that, you know, right down the railroad tracks, is it a matter of getting it up so that it filters through the system into the plant the way everything does, or?
Yeah, well, one way or another, we have to get it to a gravity sewer. And basically the gravity sewer in the area is Warren Street. We got to get it up there somehow. And what we're proposing to do is actually to follow the route of the original force main, which ran up Church Street and discharged at the end of Church Street, and then went into Warren Street and flowed to the plant. And this takes a significant amount of flow off of the Henry Street pumping station, which is suffering during wet weather. Yeah, that's one of the big goals here, is to make sure that that station doesn't get any overflows, and that we minimize the amount of stormwater that's hitting that. We're also replacing the force main from Henry Street, which currently runs up Henry and Basin Street, and then crosses over to the hospital property and kind of runs up near that diagonal walkway behind their transformers, and then goes between their buildings and through to Park Street. What we want to do is we want to reroute that primarily through use of horizontal directional drilling to flow through the Clendon Street Park and then turn up the hill and go up to the receiving entrance of the hospital and discharge into our manhole there. We have an easement that runs down that hill, and we have some city property there, which was formerly Little Street. And the goal is to, again, get that to a gravity sewer. This would go to Hudson Avenue and then flow down to the plant. And it eliminates the possibility we have right now where sometimes it looks like some of the flow during storms backs up and kind of recirculates down from Park Street, down Glen to Mohican and back to the station. So we'll be eliminating that connection there at the corner of Park and Glen. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
No. No.
Can you hear me okay?
Michael,
Yes,
was that you?
yes.
Okay, I can hear you.
I gathered our stormwater drains, the main stormwater conduits down to the feeder are either at or near capacity. And in the longer view, I was hoping that we could find the possibility to develop another conduit to carry water from some of these combined sewer areas down over the bank to the feeder and make another outfall. So examples would be the streets you're talking about. What was it, Oakland? So there is a storm system that runs along Warren Street. It intercepts virtually the entire first ward and part of the second ward. That is of a, I don't know, 18-inch diameter or something like that, and certainly would have a finite capacity. There's also one that's carried around from Elm to Hudson to Glen, and then down Park and down that way. We've also put a lot of water into the one on the other side of Glen Street from Ridge all the way down. So it seems to me that at some point, in order to continue to add on as we kind of move out from the trunk of the tree to the branches, that we are going to need some capacity. And so when I know that the engineers limit their scope of design and consideration, I think at some point we would say, look, we'd like you to maybe conceptualize how we could get some more water. It's going to be a lot less expensive to try to divert it from these neighborhood storm systems into a flow rather than to construct individual infiltration systems. So one of the things you say, well, that's really not green infrastructure if you're piping the water down to an outfall. But if it reduces combined sewer overflows, then it achieves one of the green infrastructure objectives. And if we, in the process of doing that, treat the first flush of highly contaminated stormwater before it enters the conduit, then we can achieve some of the objectives in the design manual for green infrastructure as well. So at some point, I'd ask you to think about it, to find a, whether it's over the bank behind the parking garage, down Center Street, Fidela or Oakland, or someplace like that would be something that would be an investment that we could then tie in future separation projects to for years to come.
Well, we have a few sewers there, and the one area that is of concern would be the area going kind of from Oak Street to the east. And what we've done on the other projects is, so far successfully, is we've reduced the volume of stormwater from existing storm drainage as well as new drainage through infiltration, so that we've had adequate capacity in the downstream sewers. And I think that we're going to be pretty good for most of the areas to the west there. We do have some pretty good sized sewers going down to the feeder canal, which run through Murray Street and through the park there below Mohican, Glendon Park. And I go out to the feeder canal there. That's, I think, Jeremy, that's a 27-inch sewer, I think, coming down the hill from the hospital. Am I right on that?
Yes, I believe that's right.
There's actually two storm sewers that run down that hill. One of which ties into Mohican Street and runs to the Mohican Street outfall closer to the bridge, right?
Yes.
And the other one runs through the park behind the Henry Street pumping station and discharges to the feeder canal next to Finch Paper's warehouse. So we got quite a bit of capacity there, and we have been able, because of the good soils up above what we're separating, to do a pretty good job of infiltrating that. But I take your point, especially to the area to the east of Oak Street and Oakland Avenue, because a lot of that does all run down and discharge into the feeder canal just east of Shermantown Road. Yeah. So, interestingly, the DEC and the EFC do not consider dry wells to be green infrastructure in their grant program. They have to have some kind of an actual, I'll call it a chlorophyll component, some kind of a tree or a ditch or a treatment method. And so that's what we're trying to do right now. But additional projects in the East End, we're certainly going to have to look at capacity of storm sewers there. Any other comments?
I mean,
Okay. Personnel. We've had a couple of scares with the pandemic. knock wood here. But so far we're doing okay. We're doing our best to spread people out. We moved some people around in some office space. We're doing our best to ensure that people wear masks wherever appropriate. And we're still limiting access to the general public to our facilities, and making all of our contractors and incoming personnel certify that they don't have any symptoms and have a temperature check. So we're doing okay there. We had a visit from the DEC doing an annual inspection of our wastewater treatment plant, and they met with Mr. Miller. And one of the things that they commented on was that we should have some fallback capacity and management of the treatment plant. And they strongly recommended that we hire an assistant chief operator. And I discussed that with the mayor, and we're developing a job description and advertisement, and we're going to advertise to fill that position. We have that budgeted right now for half a year, and we'll see how long it takes to get somebody on board, but we want to do that soon.
That's good news. That's cool.
Okay. And I don't have any other personnel issues right now or staffing issues to discuss. Does anyone have anything to bring up on that? Okay. And that brings us to our next meeting dates, which would be we will have a workshop. We'll send reports out, and the commissioners let me know. Are you okay with what we've been doing on the sending out reports for review, or would you like to have a workshop as a Zoom meeting?
I'm good with either. This has been nice to see the info, and I'm happy to come do this as well, whichever you're up for.
I agree.
Right.
I agree, Steve.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Okay. So, and then we're looking at having a Zoom meeting for March 1st at 2 p.m. And we'll be sending out an invitation to everyone. And hopefully it'll work maybe a little smoother than this meeting as we all get used to the technology.
Just if I might add, and Bob Curtis knows this, I'm compiling an entire emailing list for everyone that I've been told needs to be invited. But in case anything is ever mistakenly eliminated or forgotten, it is the same address for each meeting. So if you hang on to your invitation, anytime there is a meeting, you can use the same email address to call into the meeting.
Thank you.
And Peter, if I could you explain to Steve and the others the possibility of going into executive session if needed? How you can eliminate some people from viewing and so forth?
Yeah, there are what they call chat rooms, and we can put some participants or any number of participants into a private chat. That eliminates them from being heard or even seen by the general public that may be online in terms of calling into the meeting. You can actually put into effect a number of, I'm not sure how many, but a number of different chat rooms. So you could have 3 chat rooms going on privately of 5 or 6 people each or 7 people each if you had that many people. So I just want to let you know that that is a possibility. If you have a Zoom meeting and you want to meet by executive session for a part of it, we can turn off everyone but those folks that are allowed in. So we actually put them in a separate, what they call a meeting room. or a breakout session. And they are sealed off from everyone else so that everything that they say is private. It's not recorded. You can or not record it. It doesn't matter. You have that option of either. But if the event of an executive session, that can be done.
Thank you.
Well, if there's nothing else, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes, yes.
All right then.
Bye, Pete.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
seeing
you.
you all.
Thank you all. See you soon.
Stay safe.
All right.